This episode is filmed on an original Canon EOS M. The EOS M was released back in 2012. At the time, it cost around $800. Nowadays, you can find it used for as low as $160. Mirrorless cameras have evolved a lot in the past 8 years, so how has the original EOS M held up? Well, you've got an 18 megapixel APS-C size sensor, Canon's Digic 5 image processor, 31 autofocus points, and a 1.04 million dot touchscreen display. The screen on the EOS M is actually pretty good. It's bright and clear and easy to see, and it's responsive the way you would expect a modern smartphone to be. Unfortunately though, it is a fixed screen. Not only does it not articulate for vlogging, it doesn't move at all actually. In terms of build quality, the EOS M is actually really sturdy. It's a relatively small camera with quite a bit of weight to it. In the hand, it has a reassuring quality. It definitely doesn't feel cheap. In terms of video, you're getting 1080p at 30 and 24 frames per second. Now, there's no 4K obviously, and there's no in-body image stabilization. In terms of slow motion, it does have 60 frames per second, but it only has it at 720p, and that's probably going to be a deal breaker for most people. On the other hand, if you're considering this camera for YouTube, take into consideration that the majority of your audience probably is watching on a smartphone, so maybe that 720p might be passable. For example, all the slow motion clips you've seen in this video were shot at 720p 60. Did you notice right away that it was 720p? I mean, I did because I film these videos and edit every single day, but your audience watching on a phone might not have noticed that. Again, that's one of those things, that's a personal choice, that's kind of more up to you. In terms of photography, the EOS M actually looks great. It has really typical Canon colors with a good bit of contrast and saturation. Video from the EOS M is the same. You know, modern cameras are starting to strive so much for technical perfection that they're kind of sacrificing character along the way. The EOS M actually has character the way some older Canon cameras like the 5D Mark II had character. There's just sort of this punchy, contrasty look to it that, for someone like me who films and edits a lot every single day with a bunch of different cameras, I recognize the footage from the EOS M right away, and I actually like it. And now we have to talk about the one reason why you probably shouldn't buy an EOS M, and you probably noticed it in that last clip, and that is the autofocus. Autofocus on the EOS M is absolutely horrendous. It just hunts and constantly drifts off to the background for absolutely no reason. And that's with the current firmware update, which was supposed to correct the autofocus. And that's unfortunate because otherwise you'd have a pretty good budget camera for both stills and video. Plus the autofocus is noticeably worse with adapted EF and EFS lenses, and that's a shame because the EF M mount just doesn't have that many lenses to begin with. I mean, overall the EOS M is actually a pretty good stills and video camera that's just held back by its sketchy autofocus and its limited lens selection. I mean, thankfully you've got Sigma supporting the EF mount nowadays, but still there's just not the amount of lens options that you would see with other camera systems. The EOS M is a good camera at a great price, but unfortunately the drawbacks are probably deal breakers for most people, and that's a shame. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.